we're going to be talking about the end of Fable. So Claude Fable is being put behind a paywall. It's going to be taken out of our subscription. So for the last week, you've probably noticed that it has been inside of your Claude subscription, whether you are on the $20 or the $200 a month. That is temporary. So it's going to be taken away and it's going to be put behind API pricing. So you're going to have to pay per usage and it is not going to be cheap. However, over the last week, a lot of people, including myself and a lot of people in my WhatsApp community, have realized, oh my God, this is pretty good. And I had a lot of people in my WhatsApp group over the weekend basically saying, oh, Fable just built this for me, or Fable just worked through this massive problem for me, or I've never vibe coded before, but Fable just spun something up and oh my God, this is amazing. A lot of people finally realizing how powerful these models can be, not just for chatting, but for actually getting stuff done for us. So Fable has been an exciting moment, but it's going to be taken away from us. I'm going to be talking about why that's important, why that's not important, and what we're going to actually do about it. Because I know there's going to be a lot of bitching and moaning this week and a lot of recrimination and annoyance, Anthropic, but I think there is a silver thread here. I think there is something we can take from it. So Fable is going behind the meter. It's very annoying. I'm upset about it. A lot of people are upset about it. It's going to be then usage credits, and the current API cost is extremely expensive. So the API is $10 in and $50 out per 1 million tokens. So I use maybe a couple of 100 million tokens per day. So this would be costing me potentially thousands per day to be using Fable, which, whilst I think I can definitely make money using Fable, I know I can make money using Fable, is an extremely risky proposition. And I know for a lot of people, the idea of just spending thousands on this a day is just not something you could even countenance. So the fact it's going to be taken away and put behind a paywall, taken out of subscription, is upsetting. I get that, because it was good. It was really good. Over the last week, I have thrown all of my big, gnarly problems into Fable, and it is just cut right through them. It has just decimated issues that have been sticking points, not just in my business, not just in code, but in my life in general, including things in personal finance. I have some credit card debt that has kind of been sticking around for a while, fed it all into Fable, fed all the information. It's like, here's your plan, boom, 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 and it just helped me get rid of it. And as of last night, I've reduced all of my credit card debt to 0%. Thank you, Fable. I'm significantly richer per month. So you could use Fable for parts of your life that were outside of code. And I think a lot of people who tried Fable for the first time started to realize that, like, oh, this can help me even though I'm not technical, because it takes so much of that technical away from you and just gets on with the work. I've also used it to put together a piece of software that will allow me to write a book using my voice. So I've already got a sketched out skeleton of the book, but I don't want to write it with AI for obvious reasons. But I also don't necessarily have the time while running multiple businesses, relocating to a new country, trying to rebuild my life here, to also write a book. So what I've built is the ability for me to work through, by giving voice notes, by being interviewed by an artificial intelligence as if it was a ghostwriter, to help me structure and flesh out that book. Again, a Fable project. And the list goes on. I've built 10, 15 different really useful tools over the last week using Fable, and I know a lot of other people have as well. So the thing is, we have seen this happen before. This has happened multiple times when a new model comes out and it feels like absolute magic. This is no different. Fable feels magical. It feels like a big step forward, and it has been a big step forward. We have seen this movie before. We have seen multiple times when a new, powerful, state-of-the-art model, SOTA model, comes out, and the whole world falls in love with it, is enamored with it. And we must remember that there is something better coming down the track. So the fact that Fable is going to be taken away from us is very upsetting. However, we believe we're about to get ChatGPT 5.6, which comes in the Soul, the Luna, and the Terra variety. We think, the rumor is, it's going to be coming out this week, probably on Thursday. That is when OpenAI tend to release their new models. Fingers crossed. And even if they don't, it doesn't really matter. We are always getting new models, we're always getting better models every couple of months. And while Fable felt kind of science fiction, it felt like a big jump forward, we are going to have Fable level models across the board within the next couple of months. And in 12 months or so, Fable will be, we will consider it a stupid model. I think that is the really exciting part here. Not the fact that we had a glimpse into the future, this sci-fi amazing tool that was Fable, but the fact that in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, this will seem mundane and prosaic. That to me is the real story here. That's the really exciting part of this. The new norm, and we get very used to this very quickly, will be a Fable level model. That's mad. And that's going to have massive implications on society because these models are not slowing down. And remember that what is very expensive now, like Fable, which is $10 for 1 million input tokens, $50 for 1 million output tokens, extremely expensive. What is expensive now gets cheaper later. So we've seen, and you can see these charts are well worth looking at, we've seen that inference over time collapses in cost. You see a lot of people talking about, oh, AI is getting more and more and more and more expensive. That is the state of the art model. The state of the art models are getting more expensive, yes, because they're able to do a lot more, and we have agentic workflows, we have loops which are using up a huge amount of tokens. However, for the same level of intelligence from, let's say, 12 months ago, we can now get that at a fraction of a cost. So as long as you're not using state of the art, the costs are collapsing up to 900 times. So the fastest collapse here was GPT-4o, collapsed by 200 times. That's what we need to remember, is that yes, the models are expensive when they first come out, but then the cost will decrease very rapidly. And this is the price per million tokens is actually decreasing over time. We're just using more tokens because we have agentic loops. But that means that a model like Mythos, a year from now, will probably be 10, 50, 100, 500 times cheaper than it is right now. You have to remember that part. I think a lot of people are forgetting this and thinking that something's being taken away forever. We're just at the beginning of something that's much, much larger. And remember that there's another one already coming. We've got Anthropic right now. This tends to be the pathway. We tend to have Anthropic releasing something that absolutely blows our socks off. OpenAI with ChatGPT released something that's just as good. A month later, a couple of weeks later, then we have Google kind of trailing behind. Unfortunately, they're always kind of one order of magnitude behind, so they don't really get a look in, but the models are still solid. And then we have open models trailing around 6 to 8 months after Anthropic. So this is what we've seen over the last couple of years. Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, open models, boom, 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 just releasing models that absolutely blow it out of the park. So whilst Fable has come from Anthropic and whilst Fable is here right now, we are going to have similar orders of magnitude of intelligence coming down the line, probably this week with 5.6, and if not within the next couple of weeks. It's not that large a wait. We just get very entitled very, very quickly with these models. And it will become the norm. What we consider science fiction now will become, at some point, prosaic and mundane. It will become entirely unexceptional. I actually visited the mission control in Houston. I think this is it. It looks like this. And I looked it up afterwards. Apparently the processors running all of this were, let me get the number because I just saw it. The processors were a speed of 0.075 megahertz to 0.5 megahertz. And the memory, the RAM they were running on was 64 kilobytes, or a whopping 1 megabyte. They had 5 of these machines, so maybe they had 5 megabytes of memory and 2.5 megahertz of processing power, and they managed to land people on the moon. So I think we are at a similar level with our large language models, where we're going to look back, we're going to look at rooms like this, we're going to look at models like Fable, and they will seem quaint. And we'll have nostalgia for that time when it was all a bit crap, but everybody got really, really excited about their Fable model. And I don't think it's going to take that long until we get there. Now, the big takeaway here is, amongst all that excitement of the fact that these models are going to keep getting better and cheaper, is the fact that we cannot keep burying our heads in the sand about jobs. Fable is very good if you still have access, and if you have access on the API, and we're going to get better and better and cheaper models. Remember that. That means that our jobs are not safe. I know lots of people have been fighting about this and putting up statistics to support whatever argument and whatever feelings they want to have. But after using Fable for a week, I know that it is much better at doing some tasks than humans are. Like, that's why I'm using it, because it was able to rip through work and do 6 months of work in a couple of hours with me. Yes, I'm guiding it 100%, but the quality of the output, the work it was doing, the research, the coding, the creation was orders of magnitude better than if I had hired somebody. I'm no longer hiring people because there is no real need to do so. I can set up systems, I can set up automations that can then go ahead and do that work for me. And that's only going to get worse. And this is me as one individual running a business. If we scale this up to much larger organizations, this is a problem for jobs. And yes, there's the argument that, oh, AI will create new jobs. Yes, 100%, it will. Those jobs will also be taken by artificial intelligence. In fact, the AI will design those jobs so they can be done by sub-agents, so they can be also done by artificial intelligence. Increasingly, it's really hard to make the argument that jobs are going to be safe. Remember that jobs are not just your job description, but they are a bundle of tasks. There's lots of little pieces of your job. A lot of those tasks will be taken by artificial intelligence. So even if the whole of your job cannot be replaced, it does not matter. 40%, 50%, 60% of your job can be taken by artificial intelligence. That means we need less people. We need 50% less people doing that type of work, because the other half of that job is being done by artificial intelligence, which means there's a depression in the job market. Income levels are going to decrease. Yes, there are then knock-on effects. Oh, what if people aren't getting incomes? Then our economies collapse. Yeah, they probably do. But remember that companies and countries are not thinking like that yet. They can't afford to. They just need to accelerate as quickly as possible. So I know there's all these counter-arguments. There's all of these different defenses you can put up to say, oh, actually, it's going to be fine. It's going to be safe. That's irresponsible. And I get quite annoyed with people who are out there saying, oh, it's fine, you'll be fine, AI is just a fad and it's going to pass. That's incredibly irresponsible, because it's telling the billions of people out there who are at great risk of a labor market disruption, it's telling them it's fine, don't fall for it. You need to get ready and you have to take responsibility. How do you do that? It's hard. It's difficult. You're going to have to do something that you control, though, that you take responsibility for. The reason for this is, if you are working for a company, you are under their sway. So if they don't react to artificial intelligence in a proactive way, if they don't sort out their strategy, then that company may go down and you have no control over that. If you're working in a particular industry, that whole industry could potentially cease to exist because of artificial intelligence. So what you need to do is have something that you control. It's either going to be some kind of income stream. It could be from freelancing, consulting, advisory, for example, some kind of project that hopefully you can monetize, building up an audience of people that you can sell to. That's personally what I'm focusing on right now, is talking to as many people as I possibly can, because I know I can build income streams and businesses off it. And ideally, just build a business. It sounds incredibly complicated, and I will not lie again, it is a big task. But increasingly, there is not going to be an alternative. The people who start now building something, creating a side income, using artificial intelligence to create a job for themselves, to create work, to create value, to create income, they're going to be the ones who a couple of years from now are in a much, much, much better position than the people who stay in their 9 to 5, bury their head in the sand and hope for the best, because it's going to get worse. We have models like Fable that can do pretty much all white collar work already. It's only going to get worse, because these models are going to get more intelligent and cheaper and faster. That's a problem. So you have to do something. So again, this is what AI with Kyle is all about. I've also put together a number of free courses. There's one about starting a business with AI. This is a 10-week course. You can just click through. You don't even need an email. You can click through and you can have access to this whole course. And that is all there for you. One issue is that there are so many different directions you can go in. So often people will say, cool, that's amazing, I need to do this, but I'm overwhelmed. I do not know what I should start. I get you. It's scary, especially when you have tools like Fable or Opus or GPT 5.6 is about to get, which can basically do any work for you. So where do you point them? What direction do you focus on? So this is me being biased, but this is how I've made a good amount of money over the last couple of years. Go to where there is already demand. I've had maybe 30 businesses over the last 15 years or so, and most of them come to nothing. Start something up, get a team together, we launch it into the market, and crickets. Nothing happens. That's fine. That's part of being an entrepreneur. The number one reason for that happening is because there's no demand. You need to find a market where people want to buy something. If you are trying to create demand, if you're trying to build from scratch and make people want something that they don't know about or want something that they don't know they want, that's hard. That's a lot of work and it costs a lot of money in advertising. So instead of trying to do something innovative, you're going to go and find demand, find what people are already wanting, and you're going to fulfill that demand. So mechanism, the vehicle that I highly recommend, and I have about 250 students who are doing this, is workshops, giving AI workshops to businesses specifically, because businesses will pay you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 per hour to come and teach them about artificial intelligence and help them work out what the hell they should be doing with it. I'm actually doing a webinar. I do webinars most Wednesdays. If you go to aiwithkyle.com/webinar, you'll be able to sign up for the free webinar. I try to do them most Wednesdays, walking you through what that looks like, how you fill that demand, what kind of technical ability you need, and how to go and find your first clients as well, because it's a very good way to make good money in a short amount of time. Because as there is more chaos with artificial intelligence, as there are more releases, that disrupts many businesses. However, if you are the person who goes and helps other businesses work out what this all means, if you help them unpick this chaos and start to deploy it, you're in a really good position, because instead of the chaos hurting you, the chaos actually helps your business. So this is what I highly recommend to people. This is what I've been doing for the last couple of years very profitably, and I show other people how to do it as well. So if you are interested in workshops in particular, or consulting or advisory or implementation of artificial intelligence for businesses, because that's where the money is, come to aiwithkyle.com/webinar. Awesome. So Fable, it is going away, but hyper-intelligent artificial intelligence is not. We're going to have a new ChatGPT this week, very likely. And if we don't, we're going to have similar level models of intelligence in the next couple of weeks, months, etc. And it's going to get better and better and cheaper and cheaper. Lots of people are hyper fixating on the Fable story. Why did it go away? Why did it come back? When are we going to get it back on the subscription? How much is it going to cost on the API, etc.? They're hyper fixating on Fable, which is missing the larger picture here, which is all AI is getting better, faster, and cheaper all of the time. This is just a little footnote in the history. This is a minutia that we shouldn't be hyper focusing on. But it's very hard whilst we're in it, while we're in history, to realize that, okay, maybe this isn't that. What is important is the directionality. This is going to get better. So that is exciting if you like to build. That is exciting if you want to create stuff with artificial intelligence. It is a disaster if you have a 9-to-5 job. It's going to absolutely drive a train through most work. So you need to be ready. You need to be creating something of your own that you can use to weather out the next decade or so. So again, I'm giving a webinar, aiwithkyle.com/webinar. I've also got a whole bunch of guides at aiwithkyle.com teaching you how to make a business using artificial intelligence rather than being run over by AI. And that is all available for free on the website, aiwithkyle.com. And make sure you subscribe to YouTube as well. That's where the longer form guides go. And you'll get the newsletter once you sign up at aiwithkyle.com. Awesome. And thank you so much.